A bit bewildering today, Pauline. The YouTube AI gods are being very kind. The AI is saying, you caught them out. Here, have some more. So I thought I'd just have another go tonight. Here's another one. Well, we'll go through this one now.
It is curious that we've had this change in tone, John, just as the campaign is faltering. But this might be another reason why the campaign is faltering, because we're hearing all sorts of accounts from around the country. This morning, Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council CEO Nathan Moran defended an Aboriginal land rights claim at Balmoral Beach in the ritzy Sydney harbourside suburb of Mossman. He also revealed that there are around 38,000 unresolved Aboriginal land claims in New South Wales alone. Have a listen to this.
So across the state, I know that the number officially was 38,000 June last year, and I believe that when we discussed it just recently at a gathering, it's brokered to near 40,000 claims across New South Wales are undetermined, have not been assessed and sit in files.
There are 40,000 Aboriginal land claims at the moment in New South Wales.
Yes, I'm glad we're having this discussion, Ben. It's been one of the very sad points of New South Wales land rights. We haven't been able to realise a right. We've made the claims. We just hope they can be assessed.
We've made the claims, Pauline. We just hope that they can be assessed by that Crown body that we're trying to undermine. And when we undermine the majority of the land, then we'll undermine the Constitution on behalf of these mining interests, Pauline, and forestry interests. We'll take over. We'll undermine it all and take over. We'll put in 40,000 claims in New South Wales. We'll put another 40,000 in Queensland. We'll put a claim in for the entire Cape, Pauline, the entire Cape. We'll put a claim in for every national park in the National Parks Trust. We'll use the Prime Minister and Cabinet behind closed doors, away from the rest of the Parliament, to get it done, Pauline, to get it done. We'll use the Federal Executive Council and those fucking papists to undermine those Protestant, Anglican, constitutional people. Pauline, that's what we'll do. We'll remove their line of authority in their gods just by snowing them down with a whole bunch of claims that are nonsensical, which we'll hope they'll just pass because Prime Minister and Cabinet assured us that Australian people were now dumb enough to accept it.
John, your response to that, I think there's a great deal of ignorance in the community about the process here, what happens, how much of the country has already been handed back.
Well, Rita, upwards of 50% of Australia is subject to native title. And listening to that Ben Fordham interview just then, it's exactly as we found out from the Prime Minister when we didn't know how many pages there were to the Uluru Statement. I think one of the many reasons that the Voice referendum may well be defeated is because Australians are realising there's a lot more to this than what is appearing just on the ballot paper. There are the issues of sovereignty, there are the issues of different systems of justice, as Jacinta Price spoke about in relation to Victoria.
Is that a big hint about the legal ramifications about all this fraud, Pauline? Is that a big hint about making false claims in 40,000 claims, Pauline? False 40,000 claims over land that's not yours, Pauline. Like, now, if we could go back to 1965, and we could go back to the Great Fleet 1908, 1907, what land would be defined then? What land would be recognised then as tribal lands among all of those cities that were recognised to be at peace at the Great White Fleet 1907, 1908? Does that correlate, Pauline? Or is the Prime Minister and Cabinet trying to undermine the constitutional Crown Australia in its towns and cities by giving away all the lots of land in towns and cities, right, to undermine the entire country? To undermine the entire country, Pauline. To undermine a fucking constitution and the entire country.
And now we have this revelation about what is happening in New South Wales, and Australians are not getting answers. And Noel Pearson can be as gracious as he likes now, but the damage has been done.
What he means is that the crimes have already been committed, Pauline, and there are absolute actions of treason, treachery, undermining the Constitution, defrauding public trust, defrauding the usufruct, defrauding profit of Prondra. Oh, I mean, the list goes on. The list goes on, Pauline. I mean, Section 44, just the start, just the beginning. You got to get that Lydia and make her realise what she's done is a very, very grave criminal offence, Pauline. Very, very grave criminal offence. And this man's dead spot on about all of these fraud claims across the land and this international manipulation of the Federal Executive Council and the Prime Minister and Cabinet. This really, really needs to be sussed out about how the Prime Minister and Cabinet's been babying the Aborigine from inside the Prime Minister and Cabinet so that they end up sucking their thumbs and dragging their little blankies around, Pauline, their little blankies around.
Nick, he's so right here because there is this concern that there's all sorts of things happening in this arena that the majority of Australians are ignorant about. A lot of these land claims, what that means for property holders. I mean, this referendum has really brought a lot of these issues to the fore, things that have been happening for years, but really without widespread knowledge of the Australian public who've kind of been in the dark about a lot of it.
See, the problem that Rita has is that she's talking to two setups and they don't really know what the fuck's going on either. We're about to hear from Mr. Menzies' model, Pauline. Mr. 1939 Undermine Australia Menzies' model, right? So we're about to hear from, I suppose, the Dutton side of the fence. You know, that side of the fence is trying to defend its rule of usufruct.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I think has become clear is the absolute corruption of the Aboriginal Land Council system. You know, these people do not represent Aboriginal people in any real sense. They are commercial organisations that are occupied by just a few people who get hold of them, not accountable to anybody, and they have a strong commercial interest to make land claims, because then they can, charge rent for, tourists who go there. Or we're going to be in the position they're in parts of Canada now, where you actually have to pay a tax. I saw somebody sent me a bill the other day from a Canadian pizza shop where there is a tax for the land you're on.
They're fairer bunch of criminals, aren't they, Pauline? They're the fairer bunch of criminals. But mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Who has the line of authority defined on the courtroom record? And what are we looking at here about this Royal Commission into Administration? Would we need another one, Pauline? Would we need a Royal Commission into Administration 2024 by chance? By chance? To clean up this bullshit?
This is where we're heading. And I thought we'd settled this back in the early 90s with the Land Rights Act following the Mabo decision. We came to essentially a compromise, because that's what you always have to do. But a compromise isn't good enough for these extremists. They want it all. And I'm afraid this has brought out the worst of them.
Ooh, low blow from the Menzies model, Pauline. Low blow from the Menzies model there. Extremists, Pauline. Extremists. Violent extremists that cause terrorist acts, Pauline. That are headed by this Noel Pearson bloke and his ideologies and this whole undermining of the Parliament using the bikie slut. And what was it, the nightclub? Oh, throw her out of the strip club, Pauline. Throw her out of the strip club. Are you the strip club, Pauline? Is Parliament the strip club? Are you mining stripping the country? Are you strip mining the country? Are you the strip club? Is she part of your strip club, Pauline? What do you strip next? The forests? The fisheries? The agricultures? What do you mine next? What fruits do you go for, Pauline? 40,000 land titles claims. 40,000. And 3,500 in the Redland Shire that the Queensland government's actually considering after considering the entire Cape, Pauline. The entire Cape. Right? We need to step in. It's time now. Who has lordship over the whole entire land title scheme, Pauline? What was that prerogative right we discussed, Pauline? It's time to recognise what these privateers are, Pauline. What these privateers are, Pauline. It's time to slap them. It's time to slap them so hard that they don't see yesterday.